Hey everybody, welcome back. And for those of you who are new, my name is Chris, and in the summer I do perfume chit chat right next to my pool. Today is the third video in an installment I started way back in the fall called Affordable Alternatives to Expensive Fragrances. When I first started this series, I said I had so much material I would split it into parts, and today is the third part. So this will be the third and final installment of this particular series, for at least until next year. As far as I know, I don't have any dupes or impressions. These are original creations, which in my opinion are more affordable alternatives to their expensive counterparts. That being said, that doesn't mean all of these are dirt cheap. Some of them might be more higher priced to some of my audience members, but they are still more affordable, and in most cases much more affordable than the expensive counterpart that I am comparing them to. And with that, I'm just going to get started. I'm going to get started with one of my favorite vanillas of all time. It's called Guimauve de Noel, and it's by Paloma de Par. Now this means Christmas marshmallow, so I think I actually bought it in the wintertime when I first bought it several years ago, because French marshmallows have these notes. They have orange blossom water in them, so this is orange blossom. It is a sweet vanillic orange blossom. Now, it's a little bit light wearing in the wintertime, but the first year I got it, I wore it on a sweltering hot day, and I thought, wow, this fragrance is meant to be worn in the hot weather. There's something magical that happens when you spray it on your skin and it heats up. My daughter always says, oh, Mom, you smell like an orange push-up or an orange popsicle. And if you don't know what that is, I'll put a little picture over here, but it's great. And so for that reason, I actually prefer to wear it in the summer months. However, being a niche fragrance, it is on the pricey side. So I do have a more affordable alternative that a friend of mine, shout out to Marianne, told me about, and it is by the House of Spiritus, and it's called Venera Moria right here. And I think this is a really good substitution for Guimauve de Noel, or to a lesser extent, Love Don't Be Shy, these sweet, vanillic, marshmallowy, orange blossom fragrances. It's not a one-to-one dupe, but it is a great substitution for those fragrances, which are on the pricey side. And I want to say, I bought this for $35. It might be up in the $50 range, but it's delicious. And the main difference to me, so it has, I know it has vanilla, it has orange, and it has petitgrain. So the main difference is that petitgrain has a little bit of greenness. It can go bitter. So this is a green version of Guimauve de Noel or Love Don't Be Shy. To me, it's a little bit closer to Guimauve de Noel. Again, not a one-to-one, but a really nice substitution. This one is more casual. It doesn't last as long, and Guimauve de Noel is just a little bit smoother. But this is a great substitution. I would highly recommend it. And I have worn this in more casual situations. I think this is a fabulous, much more affordable version of that sweet, vanillic, marshmallowy, orange blossom fragrance that is very popular. The next fragrance I'm going to talk about is one of my favorite floral gourmands. It is by Micallef, and this needs no introduction. This is Ylang In Gold. This is a beautiful ylang, lychee, peach, coconut, sandalwood perfume that to me just screams tropical luxury paradise destination wedding, and I absolutely love it. And the ylang in here smells kind of like banana pudding or banana cream, and I'm really into my bananic florals right now. Anything that has a floral that smells like a banana, that has a banana facet to it, that's my current obsession, and this is a beautiful perfume. However, for about a decade before I even discovered this perfume, I went through 3 bottles of something that smells amazingly similar for a fraction of the price, and it is called Casmir by Chopard. I actually decluttered my 3rd bottle, but I'm telling you, they are so incredibly close. I don't have that one anymore because I have my Ylang. Casmir has a heavy peach. It kind of has that 90s peach, which tends to be overripe, syrupy, and very, very sweet. And it's a little bit more plasticky, artificial in the opening, where this one is like smooth as silk. The peach is subtle. This has coconut. I don't know if Casmir has coconut, but that one can be sickeningly sweet. This one is a floral gourmand, but it's not overly sweet, and it's not too gourmandy. It doesn't really smell like food, even though it has gourmand aspects to it. I'm sure part of that is the lychee in here, which gives it a little bit of freshness, But if you smelled Ylang In Gold and you've always wanted a bottle, but the price point is beyond what your budget is for the time being, give Casmir. Casmir is a really, really good substitution. And I would say as far as longevity, they're both similar. If money is not an issue, I do think that Ylang In Gold wins out overall for sure. But a budget-friendly option is Casmir. If you are a return subscriber, you know that one of my favorite budget-friendly houses is the line Crema, which is a company that makes shaving products for men, but they also make terrific fragrances at a bargain. And I've showed at least 2 on multiple prior videos. One fragrance I've had for a while that I've never shown is this one. It's called Palo Santo, and this is a terrific alternative to one of the most iconic, popular fragrances of the past decade that happens to be very, very expensive by Le Labo, which is Santal 33. In fact, I have an enormous amount of sandalwood fragrances that are very, very similar that I need to start thinning my herd. But if you love that profile, that sandalwood profile that's got a little bit of leather, that's got some leather tones, it's got some spiciness, some earthiness, some lovely sandalwood, this is a terrific fragrance. And I don't think I've paid more than $25 for any of the Crema fragrances. I think I have 5, but it's not a one-to-one dupe. I would say they're about maybe 75–80% similar. This one is a little bit more fresh. It's got cardamom, it's got papyrus, which can smell a little bit earthy, can smell a little bit spicy, leathery. Santal 33 has a lot more depth. This is a lot fresher and lighter. Santal 33, the leather comes out more, it's warmer, it to me leans more masculine, whereas I think this is a little bit more unisex and bright. This is probably a little bit more friendly in the summer because it wears more lightly, and Santal 33 has a little bit better performance, it lasts a lot longer. But this one for $25 is a terrific budget-friendly option, and I think it smells delicious. And I do like the differences. The differences make me want to keep both of them. I have the teeny little 1 ml from Le Labo, but I just don't want to get rid of this, even though it's very, very similar to Santal 33 and others I have in my collection. I cannot recommend this enough for that profile, but again, it's not the powerhouse that Santal 33 is. So if longevity is your thing, and it's a must-have, you know, this might not be your cup of tea, but you cannot beat this one for the price. The next 2 fragrances in my possession are so similar that you do not need both. And the more expensive option is the one by Perfumes de Noel. This is very, very popular, and it is called Herod, which is a cinnamony vanilla tobacco fragrance with a little bit of incense. It is quite beautiful. And the perfumer or the nose is Olivier Pichot. A fragrance I've had in my collection even longer, and one of my favorite vanillas in my collection is called Divine Vanille by Essential Parfums. Now, even though this is a niche fragrance, this is one of the better priced niche fragrances on the market. This is a 100 ml bottle, and I want to say these run for about $75, or at least it was $75 when I first bought it. And let me tell you, they are so incredibly similar. You do not need both. In fact, one of these is going, and it's probably going to be Herod, or I'm going to give this to Pat and keep Divine Vanille. But this is basically Herod in a different bottle. They are very, very similar, and you wouldn't believe who the nose is behind this one. Yes, you guessed it, Olivier Pichot. So they both are the same nose, and they are remarkably similar. This one isn't as heavy on the tobacco. It's a little bit more ambery. It does have cinnamon. It has more amber. It has a little bit more vanilla, some more spices, and the incense is toned down. I mean, if I had to say the differences, I would say this one probably leans, it's unisex, maybe this leans a little bit more masculine. And this is unisex. If anything, this leans a little bit more feminine. And remarkably, for whatever reason, the longevity for me with Herod is not great. I have much better luck with my Divine Vanille. So if you've always loved Herod, but it's been out of your price point and you haven't been happy with the longevity, like my experience, Divine Vanille. So quick battery change. This is my second video I've filmed for the day, and I'm planning on doing another one. So I think what I was getting at is, if you've always loved Herod and it was just beyond your price point, I think Divine Vanille is a spectacular substitution. I discovered this line by getting the discovery set even before I started my channel over 2 years ago. There are so many amazing fragrances in the line and some of the best priced niche fragrances on the market. So Divine Vinny. Now the next two fragrances I don't own because neither of them worked out for me. I keep getting people ask me about Poets of Berlin because I have said on prior videos I love the note of blueberry and I'm loving the note of lemon right now. And of course I've always loved vanilla. Vanilla is one of my favorite notes. And so a lot of people will say, have you tried Poets of Berlin? Well, yes, I have. And in fact, if you've been following me for a long time, ever since I started my channel, you would have seen Poets of Berlin get decluttered in one of my first videos because I blind bought that because someone told me it smelled just like a blueberry muffin. And I'm sorry, there are few things that smell better than a blueberry muffin. I wanted to smell like a blueberry muffin. And in my opinion, Poets of Berlin does not smell like a blueberry muffin. I remember, I don't really want to say what I get because I know a lot of people love it. Let's just say it doesn't smell like a blueberry muffin. And back when I was a ding-a-ling, blind buying lots of things, I blind bought. I wanted to make sure I got the name right. It's called Wild Vanilla Orchid by Floral Street. I blind bought that based on the notes, thinking I would love it. And the good news is, so let's do the good and the bad. The good news is for those of you who love Poets of Berlin and have always wanted to get a bottle, but the price point was prohibitive. The good news is they are almost a straight-on one-to-one dupe. The bad news for people like me is that they are a straight one-to-one dupe. It smelled just like Poets of Berlin, and so I didn't get along with either. But if you are on a budget, Wild Vanilla Orchid cost significantly less. Those fragrances by Floral Street are under $100, I know for sure. And they have a nice little discovery set. If you've had your heart set on Poets of Berlin, fear not, Wild Vanilla Orchid will be a more budget-friendly substitution. So the next two fragrances, neither one of them is ridiculously expensive. The first one is Dolce & Gabbana Light Blue, and the cheaper substitution or the budget-friendly substitution is a fragrance that one of my lovely friends gave me last year. It's called I Love Love by Moschino. So I Love Love is a more grapefruit citrusy take on Light Blue, and if you live in Canada, you can get this for like 18 bucks at Shoppers Drug Mart. So I think this has grapefruit and it has, I want to say, sugar cubes. Whereas the fruit in this one, I think it's known for its apple. This one, again, is more citrusy, doesn't have as much musk, and Light Blue to me is more musk-friendly. You're never going to believe who the nose is for both of these. You guessed it, the same nose. It's Oliver Crusp. So it's not crazy that the same nose is going to create fragrances that they love and enjoy that are popular that may end up smelling like another fragrance that they create. So a fun, budget-friendly option for Light Blue. Now, the next two comparison is not something that I came up with myself. One of you asked me about the similarities between the two, and honestly, particularly opening, I don't think these are super similar. The first one is Spiritus Double Vanille by Guerlain, a very expensive, delicious, oh, that smells so good, natural vanilla by Guerlain. It's got that beautiful, Guerlain makes some of the best vanillas, and this one is really, really hard to beat. It's definitely vanilla, and it has a natural kind of a vanilla bean, vanilla extract, vanilla that gets smoother and more powdery in the dry down. This is absolutely gorgeous. I slightly prefer Queer Beluga, but they are pretty much perfect vanillas in my mind. And somebody asked me about one of the fragrances. This is one of the first fragrances I ever talked about on my channel. This was in my very first Smell Expensive on a Budget. It's by Mercedes-Benz, and this is Mercedes-Benz Club Black. And I stopped talking about it because soon after I did that video, like over 2 years ago, it's probably been right around 2 years. The word was it was getting discontinued, and then it was super hard to find because this is a spectacular vanilla. It is so good and so well made that I bought a backup, and I just never talked about it because it became impossible to find. Now it's been popping up. It's been popping up all over the place. You can get it at Fragrance Buy, and it's around $45, $50. So somebody asked me about, are these two the same? And I would say they are the least similar out of all the fragrances that I have spoken about tonight. Now in the dry down, they get a little bit more similar. This one definitely is more masculine. It's more ambery. It has more incense. Anita, yeah, that's a fresh one. It's ambery. It has more incense. It definitely has more amber, whereas Spiritueuse de Vanille is more powdery. It's more vanillic. It's cleaner. This one has a little bit of a tobacco going on. It has a touch of smokiness. All the things that are absent in Spiritueuse de Vanille. I will say as they dry down, they start to get more similar, but maybe they're 50% similar and 50% different. But there is a tremendous difference in price. As we know, these fragrances from Guerlain are over $300. They are ridiculous. And again, I purchased my 2 bottles of Mercedes-Benz Club Black for around $50. So spectacular vanilla fragrance for the money. And it's kind of close. It's somewhat similar to a very expensive one by Guerlain. Now that does it for the fragrances. I have a couple that I have samples of that I'm just going to skip, and I'm going to go straight to a body product that somebody over on Instagram told me about. I think she goes by Sniff with Steph, and she talked about a great alternative for the Boom Boom cream from Costco, and it was this one that's called Brazilian Body Butter by Nutrius. And you can get 2 of these for $20 over at Costco. So when my husband's addicted to Costco, so when Pat was going over there on his little weekly visit, I said, hey, pick this up for me. And I did a side-to-side comparison, one on the other. Now, and the Boom Boom cream is very, very expensive. I don't even remember how much it is. I don't know, maybe $40, $45. So each one of these is $10. They are remarkably similar. There are differences. The Boom Boom cream is actually, it's thicker, and it's that type of thick cream that when you're putting it on your leg or whatever body part, you have to really kind of rub it in to get it to absorb. Whereas I like this one. This one goes on much more smoothly. Even though it is a body butter, it kind of absorbs more easier. It absorbs more easily into the skin. And it has a nice moisture. I actually like the texture of my skin better with this one. The scent is very similar. However, the scent with this dies off much more rapidly. And whereas the Boom Boom cream still has that delicious, that nutty, caramely pistachio fragrance that lasts for several hours. However, I do think that this is a terrific substitution for the very expensive Boom Boom cream. So that is it, guys. That wraps up part 3 of my affordable alternatives to more expensive fragrances and a body product. I hope you guys enjoyed my series. I'm not planning on doing another one unless you guys have a lot of suggestions or I discover enough affordable alternatives in the next year or so to do a new one, to do a new episode in the year 2024. Thanks for sticking around. Thanks for watching. If you have any great affordable alternatives for fragrances that I haven't mentioned in the 3 different videos I've done, hey, let me know in the comment section. I will check them out, and those type of comments are always helpful to the other people who participate in the comment section of my video. And with that, thanks again for supporting me. Thanks for stopping by, and I'd love to see you on the next one.